Quite the signal is currently baking. Let's discuss. Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave. Wish you a happy and healthy start to your lovely Tuesday morning over here from a blizzard in Helsinki, Finland. It's actually literally just pitch white outside instead of pitch black right now because there's snow covering all my fucking windows. It is insane. I have floor to ceiling windows and like literally I wish I could turn the camera on. It's like actually just white. Anyways, with that said, we have plenty to talk about today. Following up on yesterday's short-term, medium-term time frame analysis. Now, what is the narrative of this market? Is this just one major opportunity or was it all a scam? Well, there's actually going to be plenty on that today, of course. But first and foremost, let's focus on the Krown Chain application, which can be found at app.krownchain.net. And what do we see? We do see that Bitcoin dominance still kind of hovering around the same area that we did see yesterday. I want to really zero down in on some of the more specific alts and see how they're doing versus their Bitcoin Satoshi parent, because we still really haven't seen clarity on that situation for the long term. Also, open interest coming down a little bit more from yesterday to today, another 250 million shaved off since we last spoke, which what does that suggest? As Bitcoin does come down on the overall price scale, well, people taking profits, and that is more or less healthy in the long term and will tie into the more long-term analysis of this. And also big one over here, fear and greed index taking the biggest leap down that we've seen in the not so decent past here. I mean, Jesus Christ, actually very, very aggressive right there from a 90 to an 84. We can actually look at this in chart format right on over here. Let's just zero down in on it right here. And no longer is my face covering this up, so that's good. But as you can see, we've been hanging out within the 90 extremely greedy zone for months on end actually. And this is the first time we've actually come down below there to an 84, which is technically still extremely greedy as well. But the market kind of cooling off a bit as people, as a new crew of 2021 is baptized in blood. So you gotta fucking love it, man. Anyways, funny rate over here, big one, as we do see that FTX still way the fuck out there, 0.23%. That is certainly problematic, but all of the other exchanges at 0.01%. So we have seen the reset, and we did see that interplay happen yesterday. That was the big thing. So remember, we saw consistently about 2 days worth of everyone around above the 0.1% threshold. We even saw FTX get all the way up to like above 0.3%, which is absolutely ridiculous, and but definitely can happen, of course. And what do you know? Bitcoin coming down as price action comes. Well, price action obviously leads the way. Anyways, more importantly with that, a lot of people have been asking, why does that even matter? Why would there be that interpretation? It's actually quite logical. Think about it this way. The funding rate is what you pay in order to hold your positions. And if you're long, well, in a market like this, which pretty much everyone is, then when the funding rate is positive, then you will be paying to hold that position some amount to trade on these exchanges. Now this is really only relevant for the exchanges that operate in a peer-to-peer fashion, not from a funding pool fashion, although that does matter as well, but everyone pays there. So it's kind of a little bit of different interplay. Still matters, of course, but we're specifically focusing on the peer-to-peers here. And what am I getting towards? Well, basically, let's say you are holding, and I like to use this as a baseline, but let's say you're holding about $1 million in contract position. What does that mean that you're going to be paying per day? Well, if you're paying 0.1% per day, you're paying, I don't know, somewhere around like $6,000 to $7,000 a day just to hold your position. That's not if it's going in your direction or going against you. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter on the direction. You're paying that per day just to fucking hold it. Just fucking hold it. So think about that when you start to go above and beyond that level, of which we again did see FTX yesterday above 0.3%. So you're paying, maybe even almost close to $20,000 a day to hold your position, again, regardless of whether it's going for you or not. So that is a consideration. And what people typically do is they say, okay, well, this is not worth it right now, so I'm just going to dump this shit off and maybe reload a little bit later, which perhaps is what's going on right now. So I do want to get into that just very briefly right there, and now into the actual price action charts we go. Except, is there any other things that I want to reference here? Discord, yeah, if you want to join Discord, we are open. We're open to anyone, of course. There's a few rules, and yes, if you don't follow the rules, of course you will get kicked and perhaps even banned. But you're more than welcome to join on in, and assuming that you're a normal, well-adjusted human adult, you're going to be fine. You're going to be 100% fine. Just be able to have like a disagreement with, another person. And that's all that we ask. We don't expect everyone to get along, but be civil, and that's all good. And of course, the link's in the description below, and there is a bit of a different kind of interplay with our Discord. Make sure that you once you join the Discord, you'll be prompted with a DM from our security bot. It's called Altdentifier. You'll have to go through that little rigmarole. It takes a couple minutes, but you only have 10 minutes to do that from joining. Now, of course, don't worry if you don't make take that time, just, you can just leave and then rejoin and you'll have the same sort of thing posted again. And also I have a video on this as the channel video for this channel. That means that if you just, if you're already subscribed to the channel, it's the one that automatically plays when you go into the channel homepage. All right, cool. So let's get into the actual fun stuff today because there's plenty to talk about, a lot of things. So first and foremost, we're going to start off with the 3-day right here. And I want to really highlight this. And I got a question yesterday about, analyzing the volume on this current kind of structure in the market. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in depth right now, actually. So first and foremost, 3-day going to be closing today. Also, the 2-day is going to be closing today as well, I do believe. Let me just double check. Yep, 13th of January, and we got 13th right here. So 7 p.m. Eastern time, we will see both the 2-day and 3-day, and the daily as well close. Of which there is something really important to be aware of right now. 3-day still judging the trend from this on a 200 band perspective, and if Bitcoin does close above the top side, which by the way, currently speaking is at 38,100 and some odd change, then I would still be looking at this as trend in progress, still looking for more upside, still looking for essentially new highs on this rally. Now keep in mind the weekly closing on Sunday did kind of set that narrative in motion already, which means that I essentially do hold with a bullish bias on the long term. Now, of course, short and medium term, that doesn't really mean all that much for it. Obviously, we saw basically about a $10,000 drop, the biggest drop in Bitcoin's history, dollar-wise, that is, percentage-wise, maybe a little bit, maybe not so much. I mean, coronavirus dump certainly comes into mind for that, but if we were to just measure it out right here, yeah, 20% drop, which for Bitcoin, that's just a normal Monday, not necessarily, but, for example, this one over here was like a fucking 50% for 55% drop. That was coronavirus. So percentage-wise, not as much, but dollar-wise, yes, actually the biggest dump in Bitcoin's history, funnily enough. Anyways, as it stands right now, the weekly did set in that buy. So I would now look to the 3-day to judge the more interim of this, as it takes about 2-3 days to make a weekly. And if this one does close above the topside Toronto band, again, remember that number, 38,150, we'll call it. Then I would look at this as still, likely to make new all-time highs probably within the next 3 days of trading. So with that in mind, I do now want to highlight the volume down here. We still see the volume really holding up. And of course, when we're looking at a 3-day, we're looking at 3 days worth of price action, obviously. No shit. But it is important to remember this fact because even though yesterday we did see some pretty nasty dumping off, at the end of the day, we need to see what this looks like at closure. And as it stands right now, we'd have a pretty damn big wick coming off of what is the lowest period moving average on this chart right now. This is a 9 exponential moving average, which is what I typically use from a long-term trending perspective to gauge some of the most aggressive rallies. In this case right here, it got picked up almost immediately, similar to what we saw right on over here, similar to what we saw on over here, similar to what we saw kind of over here as well. So my point is that if Bitcoin especially closes above the top side Toronto band today, this is going to look pretty damn good on increasing volume, which means that people are supporting this price action as open interest actually came down within this range, to be fair. But that's going to give a chance for another end of play coming into tomorrow when we get a new 3-day dildo for open interest to go up. And if that starts to happen while Bitcoin does start to go back above that critical level on the 3-day, then I would be looking at that as likely to beget some more continuation to the upside. So with that in mind, of course, that can always be undone. There's always a point of contingency. Trading is never a crystal ball game. It's a game of statistics and probabilities. And as it is right now, we still have a lot of trading day left to go, about 18 hours, 44 minutes, and 48 seconds to be exact, in fact. And with that in mind, let's just pull up our momentum oscillators right here. Is there anything of particular interest? Yes, indeed there is. If you've been following the 3-day ADX DMI, well, what do you know? ADX started to lose its strength on the second to last tick right here on the 7th of January, and DMI Plus is starting to get a little bit of divergence in the more immediate, but still, actually, that's not really even fair to say, anyways, because we don't really have a confirmed local top to begin with, and let alone two to measure against each other. What's more interesting to me is that the 3-day MACD histogram is actually starting to back off quite a bit here. This is a little bit more problematic, in my opinion, as anytime that we do see it back off, Bitcoin does go into, at the very least, a sideways consolidation, and sometimes even a reversal in prior market conditions, like when Bitcoin was in one, more or less a massive downtrend in 2018. So with that in mind, even within the last couple months here, when Bitcoin's been more or less just fucking vertical, we have seen that when the MACD histogram does start to back off a bit, and I'm referring to this white color right here, those have been your sideways consolidations. Now, ultimately, these do get picked up in obviously a bullish market and do march on to new highs, but that would imply that Bitcoin's probably going to spend a little bit of time also within this region, that being the low $30,000 region and the low $40,000 region, about a $10,000 range, which is fucking insane. And I'd essentially be looking for Bitcoin to put in some time here with, still likely an upside bias just due to trend. But at the end of the day, there would be very specific criteria for looking for a full-on reversal for, moves back down to the low $20,000 region. That would be my next major area for some potential basing action. Right now, I would treat low $30,000 as that potential basing area. But again, it works until it doesn't. And essentially, as long as that area holds, I treat it as such. If that area breaks, well, that's when I start to look for another $6,000, $8,000 down. So fair enough. Again, 23 to 24,000 would be where I'd be looking towards. But right now, let's focus in on this. So again, remember that number, that 38,000 number right there. So I want to bring you now to the shorter term timeframes, of which we'll start up with the 4 hour, which I think is really, 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 really important too. So obviously yesterday we were, I forget exactly what we spoke about on yesterday's morning video, but on yesterday's, on yesterday's morning video, we had these ranges right here. I think we were trading, where the fuck were we trading? I think maybe somewhere right around here. And I said closure below 34,500 and next level down towards about 30,000 bucks wicks, but no closures is fine. And I'd be looking for bounces around there. We started to come back to this idea on Twitch, and that was in real time, which was actually really, really cool to see. And it was actually really fun to be live during that time, with the crew. And it reminded me of the good times. but fair enough. Now we're kind of seeing this move extrapolate. So with that in mind, what I do want to say is that, hey, with this 4 hour low being confirmed right here, what is that set into motion? Well, we have hidden bullish divergence certainly confirmed. Now, it's actually not going to identify here on Caretaker's RSI because it's going to be going a little bit too far back for my particular settings at the current moment. But yes, I would still consider this, hidden bullish divergence as we are operating off of higher lows. This is certainly confirmed right here, and lower lows on RSI. So bears are essentially using more power but getting less of the way in terms of price action. At the same time, we can just go to higher term timeframes here, and it'll probably pick it up soon enough. Yep, there we go. 6 hour obviously has it because that's going to include a little bit more price action. And what do you know? Right here is your last low. Here's your next low. Boom, up, and the hidden bullish divergence will have a target. Guess where the target is? Remember the 3 day? It's going to be right around about 38,000 bucks, anywhere between about 38 and $39,000. So with that in mind, does Bitcoin have a legitimate chance to tag that area before the 3 day close night? Yes, there are things within the within the cards right now. But as we spoke about before, referencing the 3 day MACD histogram, now while that would have a more or less bullish bias on the long term with a 3 day closure above that region, I would still be looking for a range to occur from this region. Again, low $30,000 region and low $40,000 region. We could just say 40,000 bucks in about a $10,000 range. So with that in mind, I would be looking for the next stab up. Probably does get rejected, to be fair, and then plays out a bit more of a range, which I am more than happy about because that is my preferred trading style, and potentially gives me another chance to get into a long-term position. For the people asking, did I take these trades down here? Yes, I did. I took one trade at 37,000 bucks. That was obviously a loser. Then I took a couple of scalps, one at about just above 34,000 bucks yesterday, which I did speak about, and then obviously the one that we spoke about on Twitch yesterday, right in the low $30,000 or $31,000 region, of which I did let go of that right above 34 again, actually, or sorry, right around my prior entry, which is kind of funny. Anyways, as it stands, we do see that momentum also starting to twist back up again. So sorry, let me explain why I even told you that. I want to be open and transparent about this sort of shit. I don't show my trades anymore for obvious reasons. Just it's not the wisest thing to do. But I do want to be transparent with that because realistically, you haven't really been hearing me talk about my trades for the most part because I haven't really been trading, and I want to be very transparent about that as well. Been mostly holding, But now that Bitcoin does have a bit of a range here and a fucking massive range at that, I could take a few range trades. Although I still prefer Forex right now for the current market dynamics. Anyways, 6 hour Stokes will turn back up with any sort of a closure above 35,250. Which guess where Bitcoin is right now? About $100 below that region. Which at this price point, $100 is a fucking sneeze. Obviously, 4 hour are already turning. We spoke about this on the Twitch chat yesterday, saying, hey, if you see the 4 hour Stokes start to turn while a local low is confirmed, that would also be a damn good signal for potential entry. And again, this is not financial advice, I'm not a financial advisor. That comes off a little bit more as spoon feeding, but I did want to kind of explain how to trade this in sort of a knife catching way, and that's why I didn't want to take that first stab down to about 31, I think it was. Yeah, there's a second one that I really wanted, and luckily enough, the market has given. Anyways, let's see how high of a time frame this hidden bullish evidence does go up to. So we saw it on a 4 hour, we saw it on a 6 hour. What about an 8 hour? 8 hours certainly in, I would actually say that the 8 hours already confirmed. Now, probably Caretaker's RSI wants to see it tick above this prior high right here, close above this last one right here. I would say that one's already good to go. And significantly lower lows on RSI right here. So the what's it called, the bounce from that should be rather significant. Again, it would certainly not be out of question to see this one pop up to even $39,000. I think anywhere between 38 and 39 is good. And if we go over here to a 10 hour, do we see the same thing? 10 hour has potential, but not confirmed. We need to see it close above this open right here, which is 35,750. It looks like, and 12 hour also has it in play as well. But I want to see it. Technically speaking, it's not going to be confirmed on my Caretaker's RSI right here, just because I have very conservative settings. But if you do see a closure above the 21 exponential moving average, basically the last high, the last closing price on the prior one, which was 35,390, then yes, that will go into motion as well. So we'd see hidden bullish evidence all the way up to a 12 hour. What about a daily? It's not going to be on a daily, obviously, because the daily last local low was all the way at $18,000. So, yes, you have an uptrend, but the problem with your uptrend is you have about $20,000 or maybe more like $25,000 between our current price action and your last higher low. Take that as you will. Yes, it does matter. It's just, in order to maintain the daily uptrend, it wouldn't really take too much, I suppose. So fair enough. Understand that, if this range does break, things will move fast, and I would be looking for almost another $10,000 move towards $24,000, $23,000. Anywhere around here would look good to me for a potential another higher low on the macro. But for now, I treat this range as if it is legitimate, and I do have a little bit of an upside bias here. Now, with that in mind, we'll put back on our drawing tools right here. These ranges still do stand, and I would very much not be it would very much not be out of the question to come back down and swipe around low $32,000 or even $31,550 again. Completely fine, actually. It's this level right here, this blue box that you see at the bottom, which is the very, very important one for structure. If this area starts to break, no questions asked, I will get bearish for that next move down to $23,000 to $24,000. There will be bounces along the way. All these areas that were relevant on the way up are likely to be relevant on the way down, except for this one right here, which I think is way too muted. But basically, I'd be looking at 27,500 for a small bounce. I'd be looking at 26,200 for a small bounce. I'd get rid of this one right here, and I'd just go all the way down to about 24 and then 22.5. Those would be the big ones on the downside. So with all of that in mind, yes, those are still relevant, but it's not relevant until this area breaks down here. As long as this area does hold, I treat this as the next basing formation, and likely to put in a consolidation here sideways, but ultimately have the upside bias, which would be confirmed on continuation in not any sort of a sexual manner, but does that even make sense? No, it doesn't. But above our last closing highs on the 4 hour. Now, could you use this level right here at $40,000? No, I don't think so. Actually, that would not be good enough. And my Fibonacci extensions are all fucked up right here, so it should be something more like this. Yeah, there we go. Now we're in line. So good. All right. Yeah, nice one. All right, sweet one. Yeah, we got the 618 right there. We got the 272 right there. Good. Okay, excellent. Great. Yeah, nice. All right, not bad. Anyways, as it stands, what I will do now is I'd actually put a different Fibonacci retracement on it. The reason being because obviously it's going to be a greater range here. And what we do now is go from, I'm going to do a bearish retracement on this one, mostly because I'm curious where these levels match up around. And we'd see 27.3 right there. It's kind of around my prior 27 pivot, same thing essentially, but more relevant for a, in this direction. 382 right here. Perfect. We'll actually raise that up just a little bit. It's a little bit off, but fair enough. Close enough is close enough. That was my 34.5 level yesterday. And then of course we got the 236 right around here. That would be the lower basing area. And then the 786 3.6 on this area right here, which would be a little bit more relevant for this. Okay, excellent. That actually looks pretty damn good. And then we could actually drive some upwards targets if and when Bitcoin does break to the upside. Again, assuming that that even happens to begin with. But for right now, I would be defensive against this whole range just because, you know, it's going to ebb and flow. I would certainly not put it out of question to test back down towards 32,000 or even 31,500. Again, this is the critical area right here. As long as this area holds, I go in with the assumption that it's more or less fine. And we'll go on from there. Anyways, let's go through all the lower term timeframes right now. We do see that 4-hour HVP is absolutely fucking redlining. So, you know, is this area likely to bounce and kind of flail around and play out a bit of a range as we do see a contraction phase? Yes, that's what it would imply. What do we see? We already talked about 4-hour RSI, hidden bullish divergence, although that's a little bit further back. Shows on the higher term timeframes. Obviously, 4-hour Stokes can be nice and healthily pointed to the north side as long as Bitcoin is above where? Above 32,500. So again, I do like that area for another downside swipe or another downside wick if Bitcoin wants to do it. I would be interested in potentially even take another scalp trade there as well. Anyways, moving on to the 3-hour, what do we see right here? Same shit. 3-hour Stokes, nice and up and at 'em as long as you're above 32,371 and some odd change. 3-hour RSI back above the exponential, bouncing out of the critical zone. Or sorry, not out of the critical zone, but the bearish control zone. Long term, though, I am starting to see that it is losing a bit of its constructiveness, but of course, we did see this trend line right here. I guess it was relevant for the 4-hour, but this is, well, we can just make it for the 3-hour too. Works the same way, basically. And yes, did bounce off this area. So if you were paying attention to that, which I believe we spoke about either yesterday or the day prior, there you go. And nice one. Moving on to the 2-hour, what do we see? I imagine more or less of the same. And by the way, it's usually on Tuesday when we see everything kind of line up once again with CMEs. And what do you see on the 2-hour? Momentum oscillators will remain at the upside as long as above 31,726 and 6 cents. So looking good right there. So all lower term timeframes thus far are in concert. Bi-hourly RSI, same shit here too. And then we can go on into the hourly, which is, funnily enough, one of the more fun timeframes as of recent times. Now we do have some hidden bearish divergence here. It's actually calling out. We have 1, 2, 3 stabs. Now this last high right here can certainly undo that, and it very much aligns with that 35,700 pivot on the short-term time frame. So we can, we'll go back into the short-term time frame ranges in just a second here, but I want to get through these momentum oscillators. We do see that hourly Stokes are going to cross down with any sort of closure below 34,900. That would be a little bit problematic just because the hourly Stokes have been actually really fucking good as of recent times. We're seeing that contraction phase on HVP, you know, obviously a little bit more mature than what we see on the 4-hour, although all of them have quite some time to go. What else do we have? Do we have a jewel long signal on the bottom? Did this actually cut the bottom? No, not really. A soft one right here. Some people will take that. Very aggressive people will take that, but I do not. I'd still wait for something a lot more perfect than that. Anyways, moving on to the 12-hour. What do we see? Right? Or actually, no. Let's go back down to lower term time frames. Okay, beautiful. All right, so I'd still be looking at this as more or less the basing for the short-term timeframes. You know, I'm gonna go back down to this area right here because this is more relevant. 236, you know, it probably is relevant for a closure, but I am interested in wicks here just because this is a bit of a scalper's paradise right now. Anyways, if Bitcoin does close, let's call it like a 2-hour dildo below 34,700, do I think that we're going to come back down and swipe somewhere between about 32 or 33? Yeah, I do. By the same token, as long as Bitcoin remains above this pivot right here, I look for it to kind of play off these same levels. Yes, the 0.5 is at 36,000 bucks. I don't really put too much weight on that. However, you know, it would imply that if we get like an hourly close above there, I'd be looking for the next level to get hit to the upside, the 618 right here. This is on a bearish retracement, by the way, if you're wondering why this is upside down. I'm only doing that for extensions, just so you know. For the future potentially and drive those targets, but that'd be showing 37,300. That's a big one to me. This one actually does matter quite a fair bit because if that one does get taken out, I'd be looking for that full-on move back above actually $39,000. And if you recall back on over here, $39,000 would obviously be above the top side Toronto band. So if this move were to play out today, which we'll just have to like wait until basically daily closure, but we might see it before Forex video as well, which would be pretty damn cool. Then this could turn around to being quite nice. In the meantime, I would put weight on this area right here. Again, the 382, also this nice horizontal, getting this nice little phase right here. If that area does break, I would be looking for another swipe around the prior lows, Anyways, moving on to the medium-term timeframes, what do we see right here? Again, hidden bullish divergence, basically off of this area. I really like the volume on this hammer dildo right here. Is it confirmed as a reversal? Not just yet. Need to see it close above on this one right here, but it is certainly a potential. And on top of that, we do see 12-hour Stokes nose diving to the edge of the bullish control zone. Now, what's interesting about this is obviously this number will change, but as of right now, momentum will remain to the downside as long as below about $41,000. So it's telling me that, hey, while this can have another move back up towards that $39,000 region, it really would not get too bullish on this, like looking for new highs on this. And more or less, I'd be looking for 39 to probably pull back. Guess what? That also does coincide with where CMEs did close on Friday, right around here, right around 40,000 bucks actually. So with that in mind, anywhere around there would be a bit of a gap fill and then likely, sell into it a bit. So that is what also makes me think that Bitcoin likely to play out a range within this region. And as it is right now, just following the trend and following the momentum also is, I still kind of lean towards the bullish side on this. Okay, we already spoke about this. 12-hour Joule, fair enough. 12-hour HVP, just still melting. And what do we see on the daily? Daily Stokes coming down. So again, it does say, hey, this is not the time to be like, this is not the time to fucking take a position right here and then target like new fucking highs on this rally like today. Obviously, it's likely to play out a range here, and I would certainly not be surprised at all if Bitcoin does come back down and test around the 21 today. So 32,500, I look at it as likely another opportunity. Again, it's below about what actually is that blue box to the downside. 30,800, where things are very dire. Let's just call it 30,500 because it's easier to say. Right here, and below there, I actually do become bearish for another meltdown phase, but as long as it's above that area, I do, I look at another wick down here as an opportunity, not as a full-on shatter. Anyways, back to the daily. Do we have anything more to say about this? Yeah, major volume on yesterday, about 8 billion, over 8 billion on MEX done, which is rather interesting because you do see, and again, referencing the person who asked about the volume analysis of this, following up on this a little bit more, we had a 20.25% down day, right? But at closure, how much of that was actually left? 7.5% about. So what does that tell you? It tells you that most of this was actually on the buy side. And if most of this was on the buy side, then, I fucking hate to say it, but that BTFD meme, well, seems to be in effect once again. Anyways, buy daily. What else we have over here? Not much. Not much that we haven't spoken about. Again, momentum also is turning down right here. It does make me think that Bitcoin ranges a bit. And I'd imagine the same thing on the 3 day as well. All of these closing once again tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about that, in fact. Also, keep in mind, 3 day HVP starting to get a little bit more warm here. It was getting up to about a 90 percentile yesterday. Obviously, that is going to be taken down once Bitcoin settles back a little bit. Now, currently operating about an 82 percentile, just above there. So I would keep an eye on this for closure as well, because of this fact. Whenever we see the HVP on the 3 day go red, and I mean like in the 90s at the very least, we typically do see major highs or major lows being put in. Can you guess which one this one is right here? That was actually quite literally on the $4,000 dump, or it was $10,000 to $4,000, what I mean to say, for coronavirus. The time before that we went red AF. We actually didn't even get red on the, well, maybe we did if we go to like stamp or something. No, we actually didn't even get red on the dump to 3,108 in 2018. And we did get up there. How high was this? On the deeper 80s in 2014 rally right here before reversing. Obviously 20,000 over here was done on red territory. So was a 6,000 dump right here. That was a 70% move, by the way, over the course of a few weeks. Pretty fucking crazy. And then several times on these rallies to the upside throughout the past prior bull market. So I do put weight on that, and it is starting to be relevant once again. So I would be looking for, long-term highs to be put in this region. But as we've seen before, in the context of a general upwards market, which you do see over here, these were reaccumulated. But with that in mind, that reaccumulation did come after a pretty nasty, dump down. We have this one right here, 36 and 75%. We have this one right here, about 41.25%. We have this one right here, a 33% move as well. It doesn't look like much on this scale because we're on log scale, but these are pretty damn big moves. Put it on linear, it's going to make a lot more sense like that. But I do keep things log on on these YouTube videos just to make it a little more pretty, although I don't actually like using that one as much anymore. Anyways, what else do we want to talk about while we're here? We're already 20 minutes into this bitch. What the fuck? Where is time going? Let's go check out traditional markets. Actually, let's go check out Bitcoin dominance really quick. My BTCD. Show me my D, baby. Looks both the upside and downside. You can't really make much off this chart as it is right now. I still kind of remain bullish on this, I guess, just because we haven't seen anything conclusive just yet. What about Butyrol over here? Butyrol could pull through and make me bullish on the greater altcoin market. Did come down yesterday with the market, which is not a good sign for alts versus Bitcoin. And Litecoin really losing its luster. Okay, this one's an obvious one, yes. So we get the puke back out on Litecoin. So fair enough right there. What about what are some of our others? What are some of our other ones? Okay, Ripple still looks like absolute dog shit, but that's, well, nothing new there, I guess. So let's just go on to the next one. What about Link? Wait, that's Link versus USD. Very, 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 very good reaction off the 21. I still remain bullish on this one on the US dollar valuation. I'll still be looking for $19 again over the next couple weeks. It looks very good. Daily is a little bit under pressure, can once again swipe the lows, but long term I like it as long as the weekly is meeting that condition. What about Theta? Popping back up a little bit here, but this is not a strong move. I wouldn't be surprised if this one does reach down again lower as my raspy lesbian voice comes back in. Ha ha ha. What about Uni? Garbage. Sorry, but as far as charts go, not the best. What about Link on the weekly? Showing a little bit of bottoming activity over here, but certainly unconclusive as of now. What about Cardano? Actually, Cardano, one of the better actors here. Funnily enough, Cardano actually, have to call a spade, but Cardano actually okay. If something's going to make me bullish on the altcoin market, it'd probably be Cardano, although this certainly has a lot of work to do. But I would still not feel comfortable calling anything in the altcoin market versus Satoshis, that is, not versus US dollar. Versus US dollar, very easy. Going to follow whatever Bitcoin does, more or less on the whole. Okay, cool. So we've got all of that. Let's go check out traditional markets. Go check out Nasdaq Futures. Did we hit our 12.9 target? We did, but this is now starting to be a little bit more problematic. 1, 2, 3, 4 drives of bearish divergence on the highs right now. I would look for this to actually tumble a little bit further south. So that closure yesterday does change a bit here. I'd be looking for 12,750. SPY futures, what do we see here? 3,800. I'll probably be looking for this one to swipe down towards, at the very least, 3,755 probably today. It probably does bounce there, but again, that would be backfilling last weekly open. Same thing with Nasdaq, I think, as well. Yeah, so I would look for these ones to get picked up, but short term is down. I still stick with long term okayness, I suppose, but that can change around rather quickly if this weekly has a bad close. But for now, I suppose I still go with the former assumptions. Let's go reference Dixie as well. Big one right here. So we did hit our target on Dixie from yesterday's Forex video towards the 10 simple moving average on the weekly. Now, I did also say I would be looking for this one to push back a bit as well. So this one's a little bit more complex to explain, but we're in the TA nerd session. This should be fine. All right. So first and foremost, obviously, trend is down. Obviously, a lot major moving averages are down. Obviously, things look pretty damn dire right here. But we are coming in around our last major macro low, which was coming in February 2018. And if we do chart it something like this, we did essentially hit all those targets to the downside. I got front run a little bit. But more importantly, we are seeing some bottoming activity here for the first time in a while, since basically breaking 92.25, which set in our bearish buys for another meltdown. Now, with this in mind, I actually do still think that there is a greater reversal in progress here. Looking at weekly RSI, we are going to see likely hidden bullish, or sorry, no, not hidden, but regular bullish divergence coming off the lows here. We already have 1, 2 in place, but I want to see a third drive. Obviously, this one's unconfirmed right now as well, just because we need to see this closure. But as it stands, I would be looking for this to very, very likely produce another rally back up somewhere around about $91.5 to $92 over the next few weeks. So while I am bullish is not the right term, but I am looking for a greater bounce off this region at the very least, which could turn into a reversal, to be fair, and could make me bullish long term. It's very unlikely to happen today or tomorrow or the next day or this week or the next week. What is very likely to happen right here is going to take multiple weeks to actually dig itself out of this and put in a rally. I'll bring you back to the last few times it's put in a macro low. This one took about 3 months. Let's just count it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 weeks. So actually above 3 months. This one over here, Same thing, looks very, very similar, probably about a little bit over 3 months as well. This one over here, same thing as well. So, usually when Dixie, and this is kind of true for Forex in general, once put in highs or lows, especially on the low side, it goes through, multiple months of accumulation down there. And in this case, I'd kind of be saying the same thing. So would it be relevant to say that after 1, 2, 3, potentially 4 weeks that we're going to reverse, back onto those levels? No, I do think that it happens, but it very likely ranges here between our current high, our target of yesterday, which was 90.60, and our current low on a closing basis at 89.90. For a little bit of time, and then gives a go at it. So what does that mean? It means that we probably do push back here, which again is going to benefit all of the major assets that trade versus US dollar. And then over time, it's going to be cautionary signals once again. Perhaps that lines up with the February debut of CME futures for Ethereum. Perhaps that would be a good event to be aware of. But for right now, it's certainly within the cards in the future. Right now, I'd actually be looking for this one to push back and actually help out, the greater sphere. What else do we have? Let's look at Butyrol versus US dollar very quickly, and then we'll start to wrap this bitch up once again. Again, just wicks, higher rising wicks. Same range here, 970.75 to the downside, the 21 on the daily, versus the upside, like 12, just above 1200. Let's see what the lower term timeframes look like right now. Looks pretty good for continuation short term towards 1150. So I'd be looking for a little bit of short term uppity up. However, just like Bitcoin, if it wants to come back down after that and swipe the lows again, I'd be looking for a move somewhere right around here, somewhere right around, about 975 actually. So the range is being set right now. Something like this is what I'd be looking towards. Bullish for new all-time highs above 1250. Bearish for, a drive down to like 750 if this area breaks. But, I'd essentially be looking for it to range within this region, similar to Bitcoin, between about low 30 and about 40,000 bucks. What else do we have to talk about? I think that's pretty much it. Yeah. All right. Enough shit coins for today. God damn, man. My inbox has once again become a request zone for shitcoins. I have to say this publicly. I don't know if these people actually even listen to these videos this deep in, but listen, I'm very flattered that you want my opinion on whatever altcoin pairing, but I'm very much not interested, and it's a little bit encumbersome to wake up and have a bunch of requests for a shitcoin chart that I've never even heard of, or random stock or whatever the fuck. Stocks are okay, but it's just, understand that's not my priority. That's not what I'm about. And while, if you can make some money on that, I'm very happy for you. It's not for me. I'm not fucking interested. And it's a little bit strange to be kind of treated as a goddamn signal service in that way too. It's kind of fucking annoying actually. With a smile. Anyways, we've got to check out Caretaker's ranges over here. Yeah, basically showing the low, basically showing that $37,000 region on the short term. Fair enough. Kind of lining up with what we said already, so fair enough. Okay, all right. Let's go back and let's start to wrap this baby up. Let's go right here. Okay, so we'll save this chart, and then we'll want to reference this chart as well. All right, let's wrap this bitch up. Bitcoin on the 3-day and 2-day closing tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Have a chance to once again signal a little bit more no, actually, no, that's not what I want to say. Let's wrap this bitch up. Bitcoin on the 2-day and 3-day closing tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern time, which will set in further biases for this range. Does Bitcoin continue the range between about low $30,000 and $40,000 as we spoke about yesterday? Or does Bitcoin have another bias to the upside, or perhaps a break to the downside? Well, if Bitcoin does close above the topside Toronto band on the 3-day, which is 38,126 at current price action, then yes, I would essentially be having a further upside bias for this price action. Also based off the weekly closure as well, which is still right in the topside bands and actually currently above it as well at 35,304. Actually, literally just $1 below it on Mexico right here. It's rather funny, but obviously a lot of days to go in the weekly, and of course the 3 days is the highest that's closing the soonest. So with that in mind, I'd now like to go down to the lower term time frames right in over here, and if we do see hidden bullish divergence, which is currently present on the 4 hour, actually already confirmed on the 4 hour, already confirmed on the 6 hour, working its way on the 8 hour with another close above, well, I'd even say that that's confirmed as well, 10 hour with another close above the prior high on the last delta right here, and then of course a 12 hour working on it as well, with major significant lows on RSI and potential major higher lows on price action between about 31 and working on 34,200 right here, with any sort of a closure above the 21 exponential average that will be confirmed and that will initiate targets. Guess where? Remember that 3-day topside Toronto band? It would actually initiate targets back up towards about $39,000, 38,500 to $39,000. That's also rather interesting because we do still have that CME gap present from last Friday last Friday closure, that is, and guess where that is? right around $40,000. So all of those numbers kind of converge around each other. So it would set in the buys for another test back up there, and that can set up the 3-day for a damn good closure, which will set in the buys for further continuation to new all-time highs probably within the next week or so. However, more or less, I am looking for a range to kind of, happen between basically our low of about $31,000 on a closing basis, or $31,500 on a closing basis, and our high currently of about $41,000. If we put on our drawing tools right here, I'll still be looking at these ranges as more or less relevant. Or actually, let's go to this one right here. This is the chart that we're working on today. And I did do actually a bearish tracement just to get the extensions here for my fibs. But it does line up rather well. And I would still be looking at this area right here as a nice pivot for short term. I'd be looking at this area right here actually this area right here would be the big short term pivot. If Bitcoin does start to close a 2-hour, especially a 4-hour dodo below this region, that being 34,700, also the 382 Fibonacci retracement, 283 Fibonacci retracement right here, then I would be looking for a dive down back into the $31,500 to $32,000 region right here. Now, very, 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 very critical. On this structure, I still remain with the bullish bias as long as this one condition is met. As long as Bitcoin is closing 4-hour dodos above this bottom pivot down here, or if you want to call it a liquid zone, whatever the fuck you want to call it, the structural lows thus far, and that would be about 30,500. If that area is broken, I do turn into more of a long-term bear, actually. Maybe long-term bear is not the right terminology, but I would be looking for a pretty nasty move to the downside, likely down towards this region right here, towards about $23,000 to $24,000. So we're talking about $6,000 to $8,000 move, rather big right there. By the same token, as it is right now, with all those hidden bullish divergences kind of playing out, I wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin does come back down and swipe this area, but similar to yesterday, as we spoke about, likely another wick within that region, another opportunity, and well, then we can just go level by level to the upside, of which we'd have the 0.5 right here at 36. I don't put a humongous weight on this one. It's the 618 right here at 37.3 that I put a big weight on. If Bitcoin does get back above there, yes, 39,000 and some odd change would be the next realistic target, and that does line up with our hidden bullish divergence targets, and also that would start to line up with, well, continuation on the 3-day Bollinger Bands, and I think even maybe the 2-day as well. Let's see what it's looking like right here. Nope, 2 days showing 40,500 thus far. So again, realistically, I'm looking for a range to kind of happen between these regions, but I would switch around my biases depending upon what those closures look like. And with that said, I would like to wish you the best and the haps the happiest. I guess I should just give my general opinion on this too. With momentum oscillators on all lower term time frames, turning up right now, 4-hour, 3-hour, 2-hour, and hourly, which will all remain to the upside as long as we're above about 32,500, except for the hourly, which is 33,250. I do remain with the short-term bullish bias. Hey, you even do see a bit of an inverted head and shoulders here on the hourly, which would have a target, if I do some bad mental math, of about $39,000 actually. $39,000. Hey, not bad. Not bad. But yeah, 35 high right there, 31 low right there. Yeah, about $4,000 on that move. So that would put you around $39,000. So, if it have call right now, yeah, Bitcoin probably does pop back up towards around $39,000, and then we come back for the closure later tonight and see what the hell is going on here and whether the a further bullish bias is warranted. And with that said, I want to wish you the best and the happiest of the happiest. Take care, and until next time.